So let's talk about tenses first. And before we talk about tenses, we also have an important person, you could say, that sits with the tenses. There's another important detail that has tenses along with it. What is it? If I'm talking about tenses, I am also going to talk about the verbs. Okay? Now when I say tenses is actually way too important to frame basic sentences. By that I mean whenever we are writing simple sentences, even when we are writing our basic journal, informal diary entry that you used to write, from writing sentences and framing basic sentences as we are speaking, everything is based on your framing of your sentences. And where exactly do we need to work on? On our tenses and supported by verbs. If I'm not aware of how am I supposed to speak right now, we are not going to write anything, so leave it. Relax. कुछ नहीं लिख रहे आज. ठीक है? Take an example. I am teaching you people and I have to share a story. ठीक है? अब story is obviously, it might have already happened with me. तभी I'm sharing it with you today. I cannot share something that will happen maybe in the future. Might be a predictable one. But right now, I'm going to share a story with you to tell me which form of tense shall I start with. Story that has been experienced by me, I witnessed it long back. Past tense, right? And why do we need to mention it in past form? That action, that situation has already been had passed away or has ended. Passed away. Okay, passed away, we use that phrase for people who have gone. Rest in peace. Now, let's try to understand there are certain forms. Okay? When we talk about certain forms, let's have a quick, heads up. What are the forms that you have learned about tenses? बहुत basic कर रहे हैं, you are people in 9th. 3 forms of tenses. अरे thank God. अभी मुझे I was doubting something. कि what exactly am I going by? Am I too fast right now? Let me know. It's okay. Huh? Sorry. I'll again repeat. I removed everything, no? Present tense, past was there, and we have future. Okay? Sorry, my bad. I went back in the past again. So, as I was saying, I'm going to share a story with you people. Okay? Pay attention to how I am framing my sentence. Okay? So, it started last night when I was not able to sleep and I kept on rustling between the sheets, and eventually I realized I had coffee late after the dinner and it was quite late to have a sip of coffee. And I also realized that since I had coffee, I was not able to form proper thoughts in my mind. I was struggling to sleep as well as I was struggling with my thoughts. Eventually, I turned on my, meditative state and tried to relax. But that caffeine had hit me badly. That rustling and chaotic thoughts eventually immersed my senses, and I ended up thinking about the past life. How I used to be in school, how I used to carry myself when I got my first job, and so on. And that's where I end my journal. Now tell me, what exactly happened here? Am I talking about my past right now? Or how did I start it? How did I start, sorry? Huh? Very good. I started with last night. Why does it keep on writing double? Okay. I talked about last night. And eventually I talked about last night was not about just sharing how I slept last night, but also the fact that I had a cup of or a sip of coffee. Then what happens next? Then I went way in the past. After some time, I also talked about other things, like I started to work on my meditation. I did this, but eventually I also talked about my past life, which is how I used to be during my school days, and maybe when I started my job, right? That's how this thought process goes. Now try to relate with me here. When we talk about sentences that has been already, covered, gone, passed by or passed away, what happens here? What happens here? I did not form any sentence in present form. Did I? Never ever, when we are talking about our literature answers as well, depending on certain situations, never ever one should be under this category of juggling between future, present, or past. Instead, one should work on their past tenses. And that's exactly one of the examples I wanted to give you when it comes to tenses. And why is it exactly important? Even the very 5 minute back, I was not in this class, right? 5 minutes back, I was standing outside. It also counts under my past tense. But what if I say, I would have used another sentence that I was at Aditya Chalo. I am standing outside your room. How is it even possible? I finished an action and now I am inside your room, right? How is it possible that I'm going to connect it with a different tense form, right? And eventually when we see or check your answers, when you're writing, especially your literature, where you have to express yourself, right? That's where the entire problem begins. कि अब ये कौन से tense में है? ये present में है, ये past में है, या फिर ये future में? When you are writing with a certain objective in your mind that I have to talk about so and so, talk in the particular tense form. जैसे अभी हम journal की बात कर रहे हैं, diary entry की बात कर रहे हैं, you're talking about the last night or the day that you have spent, right? So what will be, what tense form will be used? Past tense. But what if there is going to be a report writing magazine or something or the other where you have to report? Future. Report writing, newspaper report writing, an action happened, a robbery happened. We talk about in the past tense, but by the time we are concluding it, what happens? We also mentioned that the police is still investigating and hoping that the robbers will be, caught. We change the tense again. आप लोग को ये clear हो जाता है ना that here we have to talk about the past, that what all happened, and then we shift it to a different tense form, which is future, that the police hope that they'll catch the so and so person, and इस तरीके से. So everything that we are doing right now obviously is controlled by certain topics in grammar, but the overall objective of learning all these parts of speech that you have learned, interjections, conjunctions, prepositions, nouns, adjectives, you have to use them very, very wisely. And all of that is portrayed, or you can say, सब कहाँ दिखता है वो सब मेहनत कि सारे topics आ गए हैं याद हमें, tenses. And if this is going to be a blunder, so imagine how will we speak and what are we going to create an impression of. ठीक है? अब हम tenses पे आ जाए, one at a time. कोशिश करें, because I don't want to confuse you guys, but let's start with the present tense. अच्छा, अभी तक anybody who has no idea that what all are the different forms of tenses, forms कौन-कौन से होते हैं, which verb form comes first, which verb form comes in the end, कुछ ऐसा है? I am as if I'm teaching only you right now. अरे, rest of you? Nothing? Okay. Now when I talk about present tense, let's talk about the 4 forms of present tense. Okay. Simple. Then we have continuous. Can I write it in a shorter manner? Is it okay? Perfect and perfect. Chaliye. See, now that you people are in higher class, not 6th, 5th anymore, so I hope I don't have to get into the depth of it, but let's try to simplify the procedure, okay? We're talking about present tense, just like we're going to talk about past and future eventually. Present is the current state that we all are right now in, है ना? Present अभी चल रहा है. Let's talk about the things that may come under simple present tense. Acha. I am teaching right now. Is simple present tense? I teach English. and so institute. And why can we relate and how can we make a differentiation here? When I'm saying I teach in so and so, or I brush my teeth daily, or the sun rises from the east, ये आपके बहुत mediocre sentences examples है ना, जो class 1 से सुनते आ रहे हो, है ना? Sun rises from the east, we brush our teeth daily, and all of these simple present tenses actually talks about your habits, any sort of fact or facts, and anything that has had any relatedness to your routine that you generally do every day. Okay? Like I go to school, simple present tense, I am going to school, shifts to present continuous because you're doing it as you speak. But in simple present form, it does not mean that you're not doing it. You are doing it. But the fact here is that you are doing it on a routine basis. It's your habit, right? But at present, are you doing it? Maybe, maybe not, but you do it as a habit, right? And the form here, anybody who can help me with the form? What is the form of simple present tense? Try करें, तुम्हें तो नींद आ रही है. ये भी तो बताया था. She cleans her shoes. If I put every day, it becomes perfect. The shoes become perfect. Great. Yes, it's a routine. It's a habit maybe, right? And also if I do not add every day, I simply write she cleans her shoes. That means she has tidy, shiny shoes that she eventually has, it's all clean all the time, right? Anything. But it is again falling under the category of simple present. Same goes for I go to school, I brush my teeth, or she brushes her teeth. Depending on the subject here, singular or plural, we change a verb form here. Okay? Again, moving to any other example that you would want to share for this form. Anything? She lives near Delhi. Okay, that means it's not a habit, it's a fact, right? This example I gave you for the sun rises from the east. Okay, same thing. If it is a fact, it has to have a habit or a fact or a routine, something that is a universal truth. It all falls under the category of simple present tense. ठीक है? और हम कोई चीज regularly कर रहे हैं, वो भी इसी में आएगी, right? Simple present tense. So it is not going to, create any confusion, particularly in this form, because we clearly knows which things come under fact, which things certainly come under habits or routine or facts. Okay? I am not going to stress on this more, but I think I need to clean this up. Chalo, next पर आते हैं continuous. Yes, whenever we talk about ing form of the verbs, we need a helping hand, which could be is, am, are if it is present form. When we skip to the perfect form of present, we have another auxiliary verb or a helping verb, that is has or have. But now we are talking about the present form here, simple present and present continuous. We'll be shifting with is, am and are, depending on the subject. If it is singular, if it is with the form subject as I, and if we have plural. Okay? She is walking down the street, children are walking down the street, or I am walking down the street. Very, very clear. Okay? And I think, do I need to write the example or shall I shift to the perfect form? Because now I could relate better. Moving to the verb form here, which is subject plus has, have, as I missed it earlier. And verb in its, which form? Perfect. No. I just said no, I've completed this. Verb, third form and object. What do I mean by the third form here? An action. Oh, perfect. Obviously, verb third form past verb. What do I mean by adding the third form here? That here, my tense is in present form, then how come am I adding verb with the third form, which is in the past state? She has completed her work. What does it mean? That she might have started in the past sometime back, but it has been completed recently. Anything that I have just finished will be under the category of present perfect tense. अब तो past perfect भी तो आएगा, had completed, past में शुरू हुआ, past में खत्म हो गया. But right now I'm dealing with present form, any action that supposedly started a few days back or something, but it recently got completed. And when it got completed right now, that's exactly why we put this under the present category with the perfect form. और इसीलिए हम क्या यूज कर रहे हैं? पास्ट फॉर्म यूज कर रहे हैं ना वर्ब का, वरना पास्ट फॉर्म तो पास्ट फॉर्म होना चाहिए. प्रेजेंट में क्या कर रहे हैं? राइट? बिकॉज एनी एक्शन that was, maybe it started long time back, maybe it started a few days back, maybe 2 hours back, but uska completion kab hua hai right now. That's exactly why we use verb third form. She has completed her work. I have seen her in the market, which means have seen her in the market means try to relate it. I have seen Nimish at around so and so time. That कुछ देर पहले ही देखा है, पर देखा है अभी. ठीक है? अच्छा, और कोई एग्जांपल्स that you could relate very easily? She has left from the town. She has left the building, the society, anything, right? That recently she has left that area or that place. They have, they very good, they have complete. ये तो मेरा एग्जांपल हुआ ना, प्रोजेक्ट लगा दिया. Everyone has arrived in the class, which means अभी अभी आए हैं, and that action has completed. The arrival, that progress has been completed now, but it has been a time that we've been waiting. It gives you the hint of the past, and that's exactly why verb third form comes in the picture. ठीक है? अब आ जाए next पर. Shall I clean it all? है ना? क्या ही कर रहे हैं? Okay, यहाँ पे भी अच्छा. Okay, go. Shall I wait for you? No, right? Did I click on to something else? Present perfect. What happens in here? अभी हमने डिस्कस किया था. What helping or auxiliary verbs do we use? Has or have. When I talk about the perfect continuous tense, I am still going to use these auxiliary verbs to help me out, right? How? Subject with has. Why is it typing? Okay, maybe my sleeves. Has or have plus verb, first form plus ing plus object, and what else do we add? She has been. What are we missing? Been. Just like the way we talked about how ing form needs a helping verb to support them, in the same way we have the third form of is, mr, which is been, not ing but been. Now when I say she has, let's take an example. She has been talking, but the sentence is not complete. Here, a girl might have been talking about something, or कोई action चल रहा होगा बहुत पहले से. We have no idea, because it gives us the idea, no? Has tells us something happened in the past, maybe started in the past actually, but it's still taking place. So we need to go back and say when, since when it happened, or since when it started. She has been talking to her friends since. तो ड्रामेटिक कर दे, since Monday, since the last I saw her, whatever you can add depending on the time duration. It depends on you. Since and for can be used. ठीक है? Now again, try to relate in the context. I am talking about a subject that is doing an action at present, but that action is in a continuous state. अभी भी वो हो रहा है, लिखा है ना talking, लेकिन वो बात करना कब शुरू किया था उसने, वो हमारा टाइम ड्यूरेशन सेंस बता देगा. अब उसने मंडे से बातें शुरू करी या अभी 2 घंटे पहले बात करी है, बट वो तब से बात कर रही है, मतलब पास्ट टेंस में से that action has started and now it is still taking place. Okay, and that's exactly what happened in past perfect tense also, that an action that started in the past but it recently got completed, and that's why we use the past form of verb, has completed. But when I say ing, the action started again in the past but it is still taking place, and since when we add the time duration. Okay.